Matthew chapter 15 and verse 21, and I'm going to explain it a little to you, and then I'm going to try to preach it. It won't be too long. Going away from there, Jesus withdrew to the district of Tyre and Sidon. Now, Matthew 15:21, that's where it starts. But I want to tell you why I read that, because really it's not that verse. It starts at verse 22. But I wanted you to get it. Jesus and the disciples had been ministering, and a lot of things were going on, and they've left the state. Now, what I mean is it's like this. They left the U.S. and went to Canada. They are totally out of their position. They're out of Israel. They're outside of that. And that's important to see this with the context of what I'm going to share with you today. How many of you here? In verse 22, and behold, a woman who was a Canaanite. Now, how do you know the Canaanites were also enemy number one to Israel? The Canaanites, and had been since they came out of Egypt, the Canaanites were enemy number one, and they were a real issue. So they went out of state, so to speak, out of the country, and they're now dealing with this woman who, by the way, she never has a name. Nameless women in the Bible are so powerful. Nameless women, the little widow that gave the mites, her name is remembered every time somebody goes to give. So, I mean, you got people with no names, and we got a world today that's interested in names. Hello. How do you know I'd rather be a woman, a man in the Bible with no name and be remembered by God? And you hear that. Behold, a woman who was in a Canaanite from the district came out with a loud, troublesome, urgent cry and begged. This woman came out loud, begging, and said, "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David." Now, have you know the use of the Son of David was also a no-no. Now, this woman is a Canaanite, but she is using the right words. She's speaking the right words because she is desperate. How many of you know in desperate times you correct your vocabulary? In desperate times, like when the plane is shaking and looks like it couldn't land, people change their vocabulary from GD this and they start saying God bless. Have you here? And so you change your vocabulary, and she changes it, and she cries out loud, and she begs have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. When he made the reference of Son of David, here's the thing with that. It immediately it attaches it all the way back to the lineage of Jesus Christ, the Messiah. So the thing that was so amazing, when she used this word, she was declaring, you are the Messiah. You are the Son of God. And for a Canaanite to witness that on top of a Jew, that's a phenomenal moment. Are you still following? Now, and it says, my daughter is miserable. This is now her need. She's already declared, you know, what he is, who he is. Now she's talking about her need. My daughter is miserably and distressfully and cruelly possessed by a demon. Now, there is no greater anointing and no greater impact a mother has when her child is under any kind of duress. When a child is really caught in a moment of misery, a moment of pain, a moment of trial and uncertainty and perplexity, a mother's intuitions, a mother's senses activate, and all of a sudden they shift into another gear, and man, I mean, everything, power gets released, a focus is in there. When a mother fears that kid and the destiny of that kid, something gets released. Well, this woman is dealing with something even more hideous than just a trial of the flesh. She's dealing with something spiritual, and it's a demon-possessed child. And have you know that's important to know there are natural things that come against our children, but there's also demonic things that come against our children. And in this atmosphere today, allow me to help us to see and know how to distinguish the difference. When you are trying to help your child in the natural and it's a demonic thing, you're not going to do any good. You're going to spit in the wind, so to speak. I mean, here. But because we are so carnal, we try to handle all things through the natural and not spiritual when it has to do with our own family. I'm going to say it again. When it has to do with our own family, we handle it by the natural. We handle it through the natural things. We solve it. Let's go to the doctor. Let's handle it this way. And we start using human intuitions and human reasoning, and we don't stop and back up and say, wait a minute, this may not be able to be dealt with through the natural of my thinking. This may be a spiritual issue. I'm here. And when that's not happening, you get a problem. You get children that are unruly. You get children that are out of control, and you think there's just their twos or threes. And really, you don't realize that a demonic spirit has come in through you or through your lineage down line, and something is activating this child. Are you hearing me? My youngest son adopted one of our little boys that was born over at the hiding place. He is 10 today, or no, he's 8. He's 8 years old, and we love him. Cute little guy, we just love him. And his mother had to go to prison for a great length of time. His father is in prison for life. And so without telling a lot of his little story, he comes in my home. He can go in the refrigerator, get anything. He can yell, Mama, Pop, and, can I have it? Gets her, as soon as he walks in the house, he grabs her iPhone or her iPad, and he's locked up. He's playing games. We got games on both of them because everything she gets, I get in the cloud. So I look at my iPad sometimes and going, when was I playing that game? Because it just downloaded over to me, so I have to delete them, and she's got them. As soon as he goes in, he's up, he's playing, and we love him. But you understand that he has some issues that came through a inheritance of its sort, through his parents, through a situation that's a lineage situation. It's down in the process of his sin line, and because of that, we have to deal with him. We have to work with him. The parents have to work with him because he's not only struggling with natural issues, he's got something back here that has to be broken. Are you hearing me? That's why when you get people coming out of multiple families and they got a father and a father and a mother and a mother and about this cousin's mother and everybody's mother and brother, how many know you're mixing up the pool gene? And you're mixing up in the spiritual lane some things that people transitioning through life can't handle what's coming through somebody that they had a relationship with. Come on. How many of you know there's iniquity? And how many of you know there's sin? Hello? And then there's transgressions. All right? Transgression is what you willfully know to do. Sin is what you were born in. And iniquity is what comes from your mother or your father or your mother's father down the line. It's coming down the line through you. Have you hear that? And only by the blood of Jesus can you break that line so that that thing is not flowing into your child that gets blocked, and you can break that thing and you can have a freedom in your life. But you see, when you don't have a spiritual understanding, you don't have a clue that your uncle's father, who, down the line, was a murdering horse thief or an alcoholic or a heroin addict. And you're trying to figure out, what is my kid doing this? It's because the bloodline, it's in the blood. How do you know I have rare blood? I have this rare blood. I have an O-type something else. And I'm in the 3 percentile of the world. And your bloodline, if there's a cancer in somebody, how do you know it can get in the bloodline? And how do you know your children, if it's breast cancer, how do you know your mother had it and your mother's mother had it? How do you know the daughter better go get checked? Is that true? Well, have you know that's blood flowing. That's bloodline disease. And you need to understand there's spiritual things that come into that bloodline and they're transferred. Are you hearing me today? And so we need to make sure that we get in the spiritual lane and the spiritual world so that we're not looking at natural reactions, handling it in the wrong way. Are you hearing me today? Now, let me do this for you, and we're going to see if we can't pull something up here for you. Now, in this going away from there, Jesus withdrew to this thing. He withdrew to get away. Because if you read more here, the Bible says in verse 23, he didn't answer her. He didn't answer her a word. Why? Well, let me tell you, I'll give you a background. They had been ministering, so the disciples withdrew and they drew away to go to another region that's not normal for them to be in. And they wanted a break. Are you listening? And they were looking for a place to get away from it all. How many of you know a lot of us like to get away from it all? Hello? And my story, okay, and I can tell you real quick, I had a man that he owns the roadway to my property that I have, and he owns the roadway, and it has 2 gates on it. You can't get into the property without going through these gates, but you pay a fee. And this guy has this property, and if he gets ticked off or he just don't like life today, he can raise your fee, and you can't get in your property. Well, that's kind of risky, right? But and my builder that I had build a home for us, he was all flustered and he was all beside himself, and he came out with this bill they were going to charge us. It was crazy. It was crazy. So I just said, hey, I'll talk to him myself. No negotiating for me. I do it. So he came over. I had him come to the house the other day, and I went out to his truck and we talked for a few minutes. I said, how you doing? Good. I said, last time I saw you, you were a little under the weather. Oh, yeah, I was sick. I'm feeling better now. He's a little older than me. And so we're talking back and forth, and he said, you know, what's it going to cost? I said to him, what's it going to cost? And he told me this number, and I said, oh, my gosh, are you kidding me? Come on. And then I said, you know, I've been praying for you a lot. And he said, really? He said, you know, I want to talk to you. He said, lately I've been in the shower since the last time we were together. He said, I go in the shower, I think I hear God. He said, I think God's talking to me. So I said, okay, keep coming, come on. So he just starts, he says, can I sit with you? Not about this and about, he said, by the way, here's the figure. And he dropped it totally in half. And just in the conversation, and he said, is that okay? I said, sure, that's fine. We can live with that. So he said, oh, you know, I want to come and sit with you. Could I just have a time to sit down with you? And I don't want to talk about business or anything. I just want to talk to you about me. He said, I got a problem. I drank some lime when I was a kid. Lye. When I was a kid, and it burned up my esophagus. And he said, my esophagus is like a straw. I have to eat liquids. He said, I ate a piece of chicken recently, and they had to send me to the hospital emergency because it got stuck in there. And so we were talking. He said, and I want to know where I'm going, and I want to know if everything's all right. So I said, listen, man, you come and sit down with me. Sit on the porch. Let's talk. And so while he's sitting in his car, I said, can I pray for you? And I reached in and put my hands on him. Man, I prayed a good prayer. And he just went, wow. Now that's what I'm talking about. That was his words. He said, now that's what I'm talking about. He said, can you do that often? So what I'm going to do is he's going to pay for the gate. No, I'm just kidding. But the point being is this, saints, is that, you know, I'm in this place and this involvement with this thing, and I'm transferring something to somebody. Can you hear me? Now watch this, verse 22 through 28. I'm going to read the rest of it. And he said, he did not answer her a word. And his disciples came and employed him, saying, send her away, for she is crying out after us. See, that meant they put themselves in the same category as him. We're like you, Jesus. How do you know that woman didn't want them? And if anybody had any sense, you could say, remember the boy that had a demon? You guys couldn't get rid of him. What do you think you can get rid of this girl's demon? But they were claiming association. And he answered and said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now he's talking about, well, I'm not here to reach everybody. But she came and kneeling worshiped him and kept praying, Lord, help me. And he answered, if it is not right, proper, becoming a fair, to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. Little dogs is what they called, that wasn't a dog. Little dog is what they called the secular people. They were called Israel. The Jew called those people little dogs. And she said, yes, Lord, yet even the little pups, little whelps, eat the crumbs and fall from their young master's table. And then Jesus answered him, O woman, great is your faith. Be it done unto you as you wish. And her daughter was cured from that moment. That's power. That's the persistence of a mother. That's a mother that broke through. Come on. That's a mother that broke through, that even when the disciples were turning her away. How many of you know that's a mother that said, I can't be denied? Are you hearing me? Now, let's get it right. Let me say this, how important it is to catch this story from the form of vision. Vision is to all of us, our lives is especially important to a mom. Vision is important to all of us, and it's important to a mom especially. And you'll see this. You'll see why I say that. This woman wanted this child healed because she defined she was miserable and distressingly, cruelly possessed. This woman said, this child does not deserve this. This is not what I raised this child up. This child was meant for great things, and she's just miserable, and she's cruelly possessed by this demon, and I want this demon to leave. Have you here? Vision is related to our ability to see. No doubt about it, this woman could see. At times, it is used to refer to things seen with the natural eye, which are within the natural realm. So vision can see things, but it often sees it in the natural. But spiritually speaking, vision can refer to seeing things with our spiritual eyes, which are within the realm of the spirit. Rock City Church, we have vision. We have vision, and we see things that can be a blessing to this house and to you and to the city that God's put us in. Amen. We have vision for these things. At times, the spiritual sight will refer to the ability to see this thing prophetically, or in other words, things which have yet to happen, you begin to see them as something that's going to happen. You see, this woman, can I dream a minute? As a mother, this woman saw this child completely healed. How many of you ever had a situation where you looked at somebody who was deformed or somebody who was suffering just cruelly by the physical ailment, and you wanted this child or this person to be healed? And this mother wanted this child to be, she desperately wanted this child to be healed. And in that process, she had vision of that child. When my daughter had cancer at 15, I had visions of her being married. I had visions of her having kids. They told me she wasn't going to live. They told me she couldn't have kids. They told me all this other stuff. But my vision overrode what I was looking at in the natural and helped me see in the faith realm what I knew was going to be the answer. And how you know, each of us needs to every day see things from the spiritual level and believe in faith and see it from the vision level. God, you said these things. Can you hear that? Amen. Now, let's go a little deeper with this. This Canaanite woman's faith and vision. Let's go a little deeper in this. Remember, Jesus he considered this woman, this Canaanite, a real enemy. Jesus looked at her and said, this is an enemy of my heritage. This is an enemy of Israel. But God let him hear something. This woman said, "You're the son of David." Oh, this woman heard, this woman spoke something, and Jesus hears something out of this woman that attracts him to her. Do you know what, saints? If you change your prayer life and change the vocabulary of your prayer life, you'll be remarkably surprised how fast God will answer. It's because you use the wrong terminologies that you can't get through and you can't get the answer you're looking for, because you're using words that God won't identify with. How do you know there's certain words God don't even pay attention to them? He don't even listen to them. Now this Canaanite woman, she's an enemy, and she'd been that way for a long time. But having vision will also refer to the ability to grasp in the mind the will of God for a given situation, which will help to develop, focus, and prioritize a long life's journey. So faith begins to cause your mind to see that this thing is a long-term thing. This is not just a short flick of the moment. I'm going to see something happen long-term. Have you heard that? You see, I have a dream. I have a vision. I have a vision one day for this church that it'll be filled up 7 days a week. I have a vision one day that there'll be prayer in here. Well, in the middle of the day, you can't get in the building because there's so many people praying. You see, I have visions that are in the spiritual that have to come into the natural, but I'm going to see them there so that I can have faith to believe when they come. I have faith for you. Some of you that struggle in your marriages and you struggle in just your daily life, I have vision that God will cause you to celebrate Him and ride in victory and get above the circumstance and see the thing that God has for you. God wants you to see what's possible. Some of you, all you ever see is what you can't and what ain't. And what hasn't. And it leaves you empty. Are you hearing me? Vision penetrates the clouds of darkness like the demon-possessed child. Vision shot right through. That mother said, "This demon don't got a chance in front of the Son of God." Or the Son of David. The Son of David, if he says to that demon, "Leave," that demon's going. That's why she got down on her knees. She begged, she pleaded, she cried, it says, with a loud, troublesome, urgent cry. Come on, how many of you here? We need to cry sometimes in the prayer room where it's just hard to even handle it. If you ever hear somebody travailing, if you ever hear somebody travailing in prayer, it'll give you chills. I've heard a mother travail over a child that was dying, and that mother's travail allowed that child to come back to life. I have heard cries that come so far down deep in the spirit that there is no way for me to even begin to try to communicate to you the cry that comes out of that well and out of that desperateness that says, "Oh God!" Blind Bartimaeus, when he yelled out in a crowd, "Jesus, Jesus, thou Son of David, have mercy on me." And all the disciples wanted to shut him up. "Shut up, leave him alone. Turn around. Just leave it alone. He's not going to turn to you." And Jesus was moved by that desperate cry. Come on. How do you know a desperate cry of a mother will move God? That's why we thank God for the mothers today. They know how to get desperate. They know how to get desperate. They got desperate when it was time to give birth. They had to push. Hello. And look, this is really, it penetrates the clouds. Vision penetrates the clouds. And confusion. How can I reach out? How can I reach out to this Jew in fear, she says. She's in fear. This Jew, how can I do this? Yet she overrode her fear and releases the light of revelation and an illumination and the path that she was on. And it led to the destiny of her child being delivered. Don't you know what that day was like to go home and sit down at the dinner table with that little girl, and she's not there talking out of multiple voices. She's not there throwing herself on the floor. She's not there drooling and slobbering and just all kinds of crazy voices pulling her hair. She's sitting at the table, mother and daughter, and they're eating and they're laughing, and mom is crying and said, "My baby, you're back. That demon has left you." What a feeling that had to be like. What a dinner that would have been. And the mother probably said, "Oh, I'd go get it." And she had this little thing she had sewed for that girl. But she never let her wear it, because if she gave her anything, she tore at it, threw herself on the floor in the mud. She threw herself towards fires. These demons would just torment them. So she sits there, and the little girl is of a sound mind. And she goes and she gets this thing that she had sewn, and she says, "I made this." And the little girl says, "Oh, Mommy, it's so pretty. You made that for me?" And she puts it on. Oh, my God. Mom and daughter just hugging and looking at that moment. What a precious thing to imagine. But you know what? When that woman was sewing that little garment, that was the vision she had. She had a vision. That little girl was going to be sound mind, sitting at the table, and everything's going to be good. Can you hear that? When a baby comes out and everything's not just right, don't you know that mother's hope jumps right up in there and says, "No, no, no." And the doctor says, "Well, look, how many of you know there was a little boy born in San Francisco, and his legs were so bow-legged and his feet were so far turned out that little boy could not even stand up. And the mother couldn't afford braces, so she got these metal things, and she got a guy that worked at a metal shop, and he made these things, and they had a bolt in them, and they bolted, and she took that little boy's legs, and she turned them, and he had to pain, like at night he would cry, and she had to be there with him. And years and years and years went by, and she turned his little legs until one day we watched on television as he ran through the airports and jumped over suitcases and won the Heisman Trophy and all of that. And O.J. Simpson was that kid who couldn't even stand up. But his mother, she said, "My boy will run and he'll be faster than them all. He'll run and he'll be a great runner." And that's all she would ever see. And when she got that man, she hired him, and he had to make these weird braces. I saw the braces, and there were bolts in them, and he would come by and he would adjust the bolts, and they were pushed against the bone, and the little guy would cry, and he'd cry at night until one day he could run. How do you know, saints, the desperation of a mother, she'll go all the way for the victory of a child. Can you hear this? Vision will bring your breakthrough. Vision enables you to see the big picture instead of getting stuck and bogged down in what seems vital. Seems, so important, but it is the reality, travail. The grand scope of your child getting the breakthrough is all that this woman saw. You need to have a vision for your children. You need to have a vision for your family. You need to say, "Lord, whatever's happening, whatever's around me, my vision is they're going to be successful. They're going to be overcomers. They're going to be all of those things." And you have to project that. You have to see that. You have to talk about that. Jacob had a garment sewed for a little boy that had stripes in it of many colors. And when his boy was thrown in the pit by his brothers, Jacob folded it up, put it in a bag, in a wrap, and put it aside. He never threw it away. It was torn, goat's blood all over it. It was a mess. But Jacob never threw it away. He was told his son was dead. But parents have this inner situation. I don't understand it till I had kids. And when you got that, you got this thing when somebody says they ain't going to make it, they're sick, there's something that goes on inside of you that says, nah, Jacob said, "I'm going to have a day when my boy comes back." And then when Joseph was in Egypt, he comes walking along with that little donkey, and he had a limp, and Jacob's got all the brothers coming, and Jacob's got this donkey, and he's he's coming to see this boy they said was dead, but he's alive. Don't you know God, the father stood up and said, my son was dead, but now he's alive. And all of a sudden on the back of that little donkey, Jacob just stops for a minute, and Joseph is standing there with this royal gown on, and he's got rubies and jewels all over it. And Jacob is standing there, and now he's looking at Joseph, and he's got a little bag, a little wrapped up thing, and he begins to untie the rope, and he opens it up, and he shakes it out, and it's all kind of dingy looking and yellowy, and it's got blood stains on it, and it's tore a little bit, and he shakes it out, and there's Joseph. He sees it. And Joseph just takes his arms. All he had to do was move his arm, and the servants ran up, and Joseph just drops the coat down, and the coat falls in the servants' hands, and they back away. And here is the greatest man other than Pharaoh, and he's Joseph, and he's standing there only in his loincloth, and he's looking at his little father, and he says, Dad, it's so good. And he backs up to his father, and he slips his arms back, and Dad puts that coat on him, and Dad is standing there weeping, and said, my son, I knew there would be a day you would wear this covering, you would wear this thing. And he put it around him, and the two of them wept and embraced. And the father Jacob said, that's my son. He was not dead, but he was alive in my vision. I never saw him dead. You need to see that kid alive and not dead. Vision, Proverbs 29:18. Without a vision, the people perish. NIV says, where there is no revelation, people cast off restraint. But I love this one in the modern language translation. It says, where there is no vision, people run wild. Have you know when you don't have a vision, you just run wild. You're all over the place. You're double-minded. You're unstable in all of your ways. And you're just running everywhere because you have no vision. That's why in the house of God, there is a vision. Not two visions. That's the vision. There is a vision. And that vision is collectively joined in by a people that commit themselves to the vision and commit themselves to invest in the vision. Pay for the vision. Cry for the vision. Pray for the vision. As you prayed for a child, we pray for the vision of the house, that God will never let it go away. He'll keep it before us. That souls will come into the kingdom, and God will use us to advance the kingdom. Come on, saints. We're going to one day get that little donkey, and we're going to come limping because we've wrestled with God on Friday night prayer. We've just wrestled with God on the nights of prayer. And we're going to have that little thing there, and all of a sudden your son, your daughter, one of them's coming home, and you're going to get that thing off and say, my God, my kid came home. I remember my daughter came back to the Lord. She had fell away. She walked away. Right over there on the floor, I laid down my arms. She laid here, and I put my arm on. She was here. My head was on this side. She was under my arm. I just laid there, and I just said, oh, God, you are so faithful. Come on. Listen to this. Here's a mother's vision, and I'm going to give it to you real quick. Are you still with me? Yes. Somebody said it takes about 6 weeks to get back to normal after you've had a baby. Somebody doesn't know that once you're a mother, normal is history. Somebody said you learn how to be a mother by instinct. Somebody never took a 3-year-old shopping. Somebody said that a mother's that motherhood is boring. Somebody never rode in a car driven by a teenager with a driver's permit. Somebody said if you're a good mother, your child will turn out good. Somebody thinks a child comes with directions and a guarantee. Somebody said mothers never raise their voices. Somebody never came out of the back door just in time to see her child hit a baseball through the neighbor's kitchen window. Somebody said you don't need an education to be a mother. Somebody never helped a fourth grader with his math. Somebody said a mother can find all the answers to her child's weary questions in the books. Somebody never had a child stuff beans up their nose and try to figure it out. Somebody said the hardest part of being a mother is labor and delivering. Somebody never watched her baby get on the bus for the first time of kindergarten or on a plane headed to the Middle East. Somebody said a mother can stop worrying after her child gets married. Somebody doesn't know that marriage adds a new son and daughter-in-law to a mother's heartstrings. Boy, is that true. Somebody said a mother's job is done when her last child leaves home. Trust me, there is life after children, but somebody said a mother's job is done when her last child leaves home. Somebody never had the grandchildren. How many of you know they leave home and you turn around and they're all back in there now? 2 of them walk out and 6 of them are still there. Somebody said your mother knows you love her, so you don't need to tell her. Somebody isn't a mother. Somebody isn't a mother if you think that way. A demon-possessed daughter is an impossible situation. And today so many mothers are facing these abnormal moments with their children. Drug overdoses today. Sex identity today. Murder and hatred. So many things today that mothers have to face that in my growing up they never faced. Mothers have to go and find their children in places they never would had to have thought about even doing that. Identifying their child with needles in their arm, laying on some street in some little alleyway with rats everywhere. And today, motherhood includes that today. Are you listening to me? Wow. We can sympathize with a Canaanite woman from outside of Jesus' normal lanes of travel or ministry, but nothing normal defeats faith. Come on. Her entrance was made by her statement, "Have mercy on me." Judges chapter 4 and verse 14. I'm going to close with these 2 scriptures today. You ready for me to pray with you? Have you understand what we're talking about here? I mean, you know, when you have vision for something, you listen, I walk where my little property is. I have a beach that I can walk on for 2 mile easy and never see anybody. I deliberately chose this place so that I could officially get away and be still before God. Do you understand that? And I was in the morning walking. I had swam for a while and I was walking and I was just enjoying the fellowship of the Lord. It was a little cloudy. Sun had just peeked through a little bit. And I was walking along and I just was talking to the Lord about you. And I said, Lord, what will it take for them to be the champions that you created them to be? What will it take for them to sell out, commit everything, and be all that you want us to be? What will it take, Lord? What do we have to do? And I just walked along and I just felt the presence of God so strong. And God spoke to me. My wife came out later and said, do you have a message for Sunday? And I said, I not only got a message for Sunday, I got one for the next week. And then I couldn't believe it. I got one for Thursday night. I got 3 messages in one walk. You must be really on God's good list. Because as dense as I am, He speaks to me constantly for you. And Deborah said to Barak, up, for this is the day when the Lord has given Sisera into your hand. Sisera, into your hand. Is not the Lord gone out before you? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor with 10,000 men following him. Can you see this? And the Lord confused and terrified Sisera and all of his chariot drivers and all the army before Barak and the sword, with the sword. And Sisera alightened from his chariot and fled on foot. Now listen to this. Deborah comes into Deborah and Barak. This is a wonderful analogy here. Came into the ministry. The land of Israel was in great turmoil right now. Go to Judges chapter 5, Angela, 6 and 9. And the streets were not safe there. And there was war on every gate. And the wicked Canaanites, here they are again, the king of the Canaanites was oppressing the Israelites with cruelty, bondage, and fear. Sounds like I just read it to you. The Canaanite demonic spirit. And in verse 6, I'm going to read the verse 9. After the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, after the days of Jerel, meaning here Ehud, the caravans ceased, travelers walked through byways. The villages were unoccupied and rulers ceased in Israel until you arose, Deborah, arose a mother in Israel. How many of you know there's always been a mother that's changed the circumstances of life? There's always been a mother that stood up and made a difference. Can you hear that? Formerly they chose new gods. Then war was at the gates. And was there a shield or spear seen among 40,000 in Israel? They had no weapons. Sounds like today, where they want to take your weapons away. They had taken all the weapons and Israel had no defense. My heart goes out to the commanders of Israel, she said, who offered themselves willingly among the people and blessed the Lord. All of a sudden, until I, Deborah, rose a mother in Zion, Israel was overtaken. How do you know it's when the mothers are going to say, it was until I rose up and became the mother of Israel, the church, mother of my family, mother of the nation, until I rise up, nothing has changed. I adjure you, mothers in Zion, rise up and be like Deborah and say, until I rose up and got in the prayer room and began to stand for God, that the enemy was free to take our children. But the women, the mothers in Zion, rose up and said, enough is enough. Mothers, I challenge you today, if you'll rise up and begin to contend in the faith for the house of God and for the children of God, you will see a revival in your day. Amen. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my. The villages were unoccupied. Go to Judges chapter 4, 6, and 9. This is it. 4, 6, and 9. Judges 4, 6, and 9. And she sent and called Barak, son of Abinadab, from Kadesh in Naphtali, and said to him, has not the Lord, the God of Israel, commanded you? Hold it now, don't change. Go gather your men at Mount Tabor. You look, it was Deborah that came to Barak and said, Barak, what's wrong with you? Go get these young men. Go get these young men and let's get them off the streets of Baltimore. Let's get them out of the streets of drugs and let's get these young men. How many of you know? I know it as a boy that lost his mother at 9. These kids in the streets need a mother. They need mothers again. And we've abandoned them in the church. Hello? It don't matter if it's your kid or not. I was told this week there's 1,600 churches in Baltimore. 1,600 churches in Baltimore. If all the women, the mothers of Zion, got out on the street and just started walking through the streets. I brought Miles Monroe into the Charles Hickey School one day. He was here preaching. I took him into the Charles Hickey School. There was 200 kids in there. Some were in there for murder. He looked at me and said, what do I do? I said, I don't know. I was only told to bring you. He said, thanks, Pastor. So he said, you know what I feel? I said, what's that? He said, I'm going to ask them if anybody wants a hug. I thought, well, that's really the good way to kill the whole service. So here's these guys all slumped down in their seats, attitude everywhere. And Miles Monroe stood right there in that building, and he said, if you need a hug today, I'm going to wait here for a few minutes. And if you'll come down, I'm going to give you a hug. So he stepped aside. It was bone quiet. It went on and on. I was getting nervous. And a kid got up crying by himself, walked down. Miles hugged him. Before Miles let go of that boy, all the way down to the door and around the backs of the seats, young men were standing in line. And one after another, Miles Monroe just stood there and hugged these boys. And they cried like babies. The church has missed its opportunity. It's not too late. But you mothers in Zion need to be like Deborah. You need to be like Deborah. Read the rest of it here. And it says, it commanded you, go gather the men, gather these young men at Mount Tabor, taking 10,000 men from the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun. Go ahead. And I will draw out Sisera, the general of Jabin's army, to meet you at the river Kishon, and his chariots and his multitude. I'll deliver him into your hands. And Barak said to her, Deborah said, I'll get him out. I'll draw him in so you can destroy him. And Barak said to her, if you will go with me, then I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go. Don't you remember? Who was it? Moses said, God, if you don't go with me, I'm not going. And here's this guy, Barak. He says, he's a fighter. He's a warrior. He says, Deborah, you're bad, dude. If you don't go with me, I ain't going, because you've got the ear of God. You've got the favor of God. Ladies, listen to me. If we're going to see God move in the church and move in Baltimore, it's going to be because you ladies join hands and join hearts and get a vision to see young men and young women get back into the house of God and get saved and revival come again. But you've cowered your position. You've surrendered your position. And you gave it up. And you come and sit. And you hope you get morsels. And God said, no, I raised you like Deborah. You need to begin to come in this house and win this city for God. Can you imagine? Let's estimate if there's 1,600 churches. Let's say there's 50 women. Somebody do the math for me real quick. 50 women. 32,000 women. Wayman is now being set in as an official chaplain in Baltimore City through the police department. And he's been working this and going there. So Thursday nights he's been doing, because he's going to be a part of that. And you know what, saints? Can you imagine, Wayman, you go into an area that's bad, drugs, crime, and you were to bring 32,000 devil-hating, dangerous women, not armed, but fear in their eye. Oh my God, could you imagine what that would look like? A whole bunch of Deborahs come marching right up, saying out to the devil, let go of that boy. Johnny, Billy, Sammy, come out. Kids start coming out. I'm telling you, you're talking about a dangerous attack. And all they be armed with is those loving arms of love and acceptance and forgiveness. And some of you hear me preach and you say, wow, that's a nice sermon. I'm not here. I didn't come home to preach to Mother's Day to a sermon. I came to activate your faith. I came to stir you up in the core of your being. I came to do something to move you towards getting out of selfishness. It's all about your little world, all about your little money, all about your little teeny world. Why a nation of boys and girls are dying of heroin addiction. 1,300 kids die every week from heroin addiction. 1,300 a week. Do the math. How many is that per year? Times 52. You're a good mathematician. Come on. 52 times 67,000 every year kids. Does it have to be yours? Huh? Does it have to be your kids until you get activated? If we're mothers in Zion, then we carry the burden for the whole, not just for our own. I don't pray just for my children. I pray for your children. Barak said to her, if you will go with me, then I will go. And if you will not go with me, I will not go. Go on, last verse. And she said, I will surely go with you. Nevertheless, the trip you take will not be for your glory, for the Lord will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah rose and went with Barak to Kadesh. She told him, didn't she? She said, you ain't gonna get the credit, son. It's going to fall in the hands of a woman. That's why the whole thing with Hillary was a false demonic setup. That whole issue with Hillary was a false demonic setup. So that we would possibly vote in a failure, a criminal, an immoral individual, and say that that's a woman representing God. I'd rather have a man that gave his life to the Lord just before he got into the White House. A year before that, by Kenneth Copeland, led him to the Lord, prayed with him. I know the people that were in the room, they're my friends. When he took him by the hand and our president put his hand on the Bible, his mother's Bible, and said, Jesus, forgive me and come in my life. I'd rather take my chance with a man so that we can get the right woman to come into the White House. Because one day there will be a woman that comes in the White House. And when she does, I pray that she's so godly and so full of God, she'll restore, she'll be like Deborah, and she'll demand that men and women come back into the things of God. But until that day, every one of you mothers, I challenge you before God and every one of us in this house. It is time that we hear God and we accept the call of God. It's good that your kids love Jesus, but God didn't give you that heart to give to 3 kids. He gave you that heart to give to all the kids. Are you hearing me today? Wayman and Laurie, God didn't give you a heart for children, for your own. Yes, you did, and yes, he has. But he gave it to you for all these kids. Are you hearing me? Have you say with me today, you can count on me, Lord. If that's you, stand on your feet. If you really feel like God can count on you, stand on your feet. Say, here am I, Lord. Here am I, Lord. Let's pull an Isaiah today. Pull that Isaiah and say, Lord, here am I. Here am I, Lord. Here am I, Lord. Use me. Can you say it out loud like you mean it? Here am I, Lord. Use me. Father, I thank you today for this moment that, God, you would open our eyes, open our ears, and cause us to be aware that you're speaking through your word to us. And that, God, your word is orchestrating a realm of faith and vision. Faith and vision. Come on, begin to pray with me. Begin to pray for these kids that are lost. How many kids today? Today, 167 kids will die of heroin overdose today. Just today. In America, 167 kids. Not only that, how many will be shot? How many will be shot today? Why what? While we play? While we get our nice little warm lunches? While we come to church to get patted on the back, tell how good we are, how nice we are? Oh God, awaken the church. Oh God, stir up the motherhood in the church. Jesus said that the older women should take care of the younger. Father, in the name of Jesus, I activate faith here today. Faith today, God. I bless every mother in this house. I bless every mom. I bless her every way you can bless a person. I bless her coming out, going in, rising up, sitting down. I bless everything they put their hand to. I bless them, I bless them, I bless them, I bless them. What will it take to wake up America, God? Oh God, oh God. I beseech you, Lord. I beseech you, oh God. I beseech you, oh God. Rescue them, oh God. Save a generation, oh God. I'm going to pray for you right now. And if it's you, you say, Pastor, I really need to turn my life over to God. I've tried it my way and it hasn't worked. But today I give you the opportunity, Jesus, to come in my life. I give you that moment to come in my life and help me remake my life. Help me change my life. Help me get better at this thing called life. Help me today, Jesus, by coming in my life. If that's you right now, slip your hand up and I'll pray with you right where you're at. Just hold it up. Say, it's me, Pastor. It's me. Just hold your hand up so I can see it. And I'll pray with you. Yes, yes. I see those hands. Yes, I see that hand back there. Anybody else, hold it up. If it's you, I don't want to miss you. Hold it up. I'm looking. Yes, I see a hand there. Hold it up. I want to pray my best prayer now. My best prayer. If it's you today, you say, it's time. I'm going to do this right. Come and stand with me right now. Come on. Stand with me right now. Come down here right now. Let me pray for you right now. Come on, quickly, quickly. That's right. Just say, excuse me. That's right. Ask them to let you by. Come on down. Come on, sweetheart. We're going to pray. Lord, touch them in Jesus' name. Open their eyes and may they see, Lord. Give them vision of your grace and your goodness. Let them see your loving kindness, oh God. Let them see how much you love them, oh God. Father, I pray right now that you touch them, save them, change them, baptize them, fill them with the Holy Spirit. God, do miracles in their life. In Jesus' name. Bless the counselors now to work with them. And I thank you. Father, in Jesus' name, I pray for the church today. May we go out of here with our hearts full of faith. May we go out of here excited, Lord, that we have a mandate, we have a commissioning, that, Lord, that you're going to raise up these mothers. You're going to anoint these mothers. They're not only going to be a mother in their own home, but they'll be mothers to this church and mothers to this city and mothers to every place you take them. Lord, awaken a movement of mothers all over America. Let there be a movement of the Deborah anointing mothers all over. And may the sons come home. Oh God. Oh God, may the sons and the daughters come home. Father, we thank you that, God, you'll raise up these mothers as they care for somebody else's child. God, you'll bring their child in as they begin to care for other children. Oh God, like Jacob, oh God, being renewed with his son. Father, I thank you. I thank you, Lord, that you'll anoint these mothers. Anoint them in prayer. Anoint them to be like Deborah, to move this nation again. Father, we thank you for the anointing of this day. Bless your people and may they go away full today. If you didn't leave everything, you're still full of yourself. Leave everything here today. Leave the burden. Leave your pain. Leave that past. Leave everything. Leave it right now. We have a Holy Ghost vacuum that'll get it taken care of. We'll vacuum it right up. Leave everything that's there, every weight that so easily besets you. Let everything this care of the world does to drag you down. Leave it right now. Leave it right now. Leave it right now. And let Jesus set you free today. Let Jesus give you liberty today. Just lay it down. Leave it right now. Say, Lord, I cast it off. I'm not taking it back with me. I'm not taking that negative thing home with me. I'm going to leave it here today. And I'm going out of here with joy in my heart and joy on my lips. Today I leave it here in the name of Jesus. And everybody said amen.